Yes, y'all. It's your boy Cam Legend. Another beautiful day in nature, another beautiful day in the Matrix. Before I proceed, please press the like button. Today's video is going to be a metaphysical discussion. It's going to be about how to truly trust the universe and how to stay strong and resilient in testing times. So, right now, we may be going into uncharted territory, the abyss, the dark night of the soul, and it may feel very chaotic because the ego has to die and certain belief systems have to grow and become larger than life. A lot of us understand the mantra, trust the universe. A lot of us understand synchronicities, all of that good stuff. But there comes a point in our ascension that we have to truly believe this from a core level so that it's set in stone. And the only way this can happen is through going through real life shit, real life circumstances, real life L's. That's the only way this can really be internalized from a core level. And this process can be painful, just like growing pains. I shot up from 5'9" to 6'1" in a short period of time. There was a time in my life I didn't even think I was going to be 6 foot, gang. But because I grew in a short space of time, it was very painful. And this is what Mother Nature may be doing to you right now. You may be going through certain circumstances that are happening so fast and it's out of your control. But that's to help, and that's to help your ascension process happen faster. You see, some of us are going through our Saturn return, which happens at 29 and a half years. And with this process, it's about responsibility. It's about growing up. It's about maturing. And we're always constantly maturing as a collective. It doesn't matter what age we are always gaining more experience and learning more about this reality. And there will come a point in your life where things will just crumble down. And what I'm seeing is because there's a lot of chaos, the pandemic, people being in lockdown, all these kind of things, this is happening to people consciously. So that means, obviously, the universe is also going to show this chaotic, resonance. That's just the universal principle of as above, so below, as within, so without. So whatever you're feeling internally will also be pushed out externally. So what we have to do in these times is trust the universe. And it's easier said than done because the ego loves to be in control. It's how we're hardwired. It's how our subconscious mind works. But you have to get to that point of wholeness. You see, this reality is truly holographic. I always say this. A lot of things happen in our lives which seem to be so synchronistic and so divine. Maybe you didn't have money to purchase an item which you need. So it could be an essential, it could be utility, like a bill. But then the money just appears at that right time. What is happening from a holistic level? Well, obviously there's something unseen that we can't see with our eyes that is helping us and guiding us. And this shouldn't really be a phenomena, but scientists still call it that. But how can they call it that when the air that we breathe, we can't see? The air that we breathe to keep us alive, we cannot see with our physical eyes. So if the air that we can't see with our physical eyes is keeping us alive, then of course, certain miracles that happen at certain times and divine interventions, are also subjective to the unseen. And this is why we say Amen, or we say Amin, or we say Amun, which is the hidden one. Amun Ra is the hidden one. So Ra, which I'm looking at now, which is the sun, that's the seen. But there's the Amin, the Amun, the Amen, which is the hidden one. It's the darkness. Because as long as we are in a physical shell, we are somewhat subjected to darkness, also known as ignorance. And when we allow our ego to say we don't know it all, as a teacher, I know that I don't know it all. I know that I know what I know at a certain period of time, but within 2 weeks' time, I could be in another level. And I could say, everything I told you 2 weeks ago, scratch that, that's surface level. It's rarely alluding to this, because that's how synchronicity works. It's a butterfly effect. It's one bit of knowledge to another, to another, to another. You're connecting to a web, an infinite web. This is why the web we use online is called the World Wide Web. And it's only reverse engineering actual principles that we see in Matrix. Because the Matrix is alluding to Ma'at, who is alluding to math. And nature is math. It may look like it's very abundant, very subjective, very wild, but there's actually a method to the madness of nature. That's why we may have had certain miracles where we could have almost lost our lives, got stabbed, car crashes, bike crashes, and it just was inches away, but some way we were still alive and grateful. Why is that? Because Ma'at weighed us by the scale in that certain situation and said, you live another day. That's how this universe works. So we have to mature as a consciousness and understand that certain things are playing out that we can't see with our physical eyes, that is keeping us grounded in this physical shell, for good or bad. Okay? So this is the kind of awareness you have to get into. I live in an abundant place with nature surrounded around me. Obviously, I got the beach, which is on this private complex I live on. I got, the lake, all of that. But I know I'm put in this certain area because I was bigging up nature so much in my videos. And I'm actually bigging up nature behind closed doors as well. That's what my art weighs you up by. My art doesn't just weigh you up by what you do on a performance level. My art weighs you up by the things you do behind closed doors, especially. And that's how you become elected in this reality. Not in the false reality that we see with politicians, because they live on their own matrix within the matrix. I'm talking about the true matrix. Because what we see as the matrix, if you look at the etymology of matrix, it means womb, uterus. And when you was born, for at least 2 to 3 years of your life, you have no consciousness of that. But obviously your mum breastfed you, she woke you up, played with you. If you have siblings, you played with your siblings. You built connections, you watched TV, you learned the alphabet, all those things. In that 2-3 years time, in that 2-3 year time period, but you have no consciousness of that. But you were still alive. You were still alive, and you didn't even have consciousness of that. Now imagine the amount of people that died from the age of 0 to 2 that have no consciousness that they were even in this physical shell. I say this because you have to understand that some way, we're always kind of unconscious of this reality. They say that it takes 7 seconds for our conscious eyes to actually see out what's playing out. They've done real scientific studies to show that, like, they're showing images and the neurons are firing at a different level for the new image that comes, but there's a 7-second delay. Just like when you're streaming online, there's a 7-second delay, or even longer, or more or less. There's always a delay when it comes to streaming. Even when it appears live, it's not really live. And that's the same thing that's happening in real life. There's a 7-second delay, which is very interesting because there's 7 planets. As Saturn is the timekeeper of that. That's the 7th out planet. We have 7 chakras. We have 7 portals on our face, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 7. So 7 is a divine number, obviously. So this is why, like, well, imagine you're thinking of someone and then you just pick up your phone and it's them, or you see on your phone that it's them. Why is that? Why did you get that feeling that it was them before you picked up the phone? Because of that 7-second delay, right? So what we see with our eyes is actually behind time and consciousness, and our neurons are obviously moving faster than what we see with the speed of light. And when we come to that awareness, we now have the ability to tap into the subatomic level of that, because even the most materialistic scientists will tell you that an atom is not truly an atom. It's still a wave particle. So if we're able to now tap into the subatomic level of that, we have the ability to tap into parallel realities and change our destiny through consciousness. And this is the kind of things you want to do to dial in what you want to dial in this universe. But you do have to trust the universe. Every day I'm grateful. Every day I say I trust the universe. I always say, it's a mantra, I always say I trust the universe, I trust the universe, I trust the universe. Just because I know certain things play out that are happening unseen. When you go on these shaman trips, you see this reality for what it is. There's a lot of things playing out. And it's, like I said, it's not for the faint-hearted. You need to be light in consciousness, and you need to work on your heart chakra. When you work with the heart chakra, you stay grounded. So make sure you're always bigging up the divine feminine, especially the males out here. We need to big up the divine feminine. Big up your mother. For 3 years of your life, you had no consciousness, but she took care of you to make sure that you can see more of this reality. Big up the macrocosm of that, which is Mother Nature, has always taken care of you. Certain situations you got into and you're just like, whew, that was a close one. It wasn't a close one in nature's eyes. It was all a projection of things you've manifested within your subconscious mind. But then when you go into the deeper aspects, the secrets, the ancient wisdom of Melchizedek, you know that everything that happens to you has already been done. Your life is destined, and it can be daunting knowing that. But you still have free will. You still have the ability to tap into the subatomic level, and that everything exists right now. The power of now. Every action you take now creates a outcome that would be pushed out in the screen of space through the principle, through the law of cause and effect. Some people call this karma. We also have dharma, which is your life purpose. Okay? So you have to understand the actions you take. Yeah, the actions you take on certain days of the years get relayed 2 or 3 years later, and it can happen on the same day after. Why do you think certain celebrities have like very strange, crazy kind of deaths, and you're like, like when you do the gematria and the numbers on it, you're like, yeah, because our life is based upon numerology, astrology, metaphysics, the unseen. And this is the kind of things you have to accept when you want your consciousness to grow, because your ego really needs to get out of this way. You see, what they give people in the Matrix is a certain script, a certain program, a certain construct to live and just be happy. Because what we see with spirituality is a gateway. It's a gateway to everything, the all. And the government govern you. They give you whatever they want to give you. They tell you what to do, and you just be happy and accept that because you don't want your ego to die. So when you come to this kind of awareness, you come to the awareness that, you know, I do have power. I do have the ability to control my destiny, but I really have to believe in the unseen. I really have to big up air. Like, you need to big up everything. Big up nature, big up chlorophyll, big up gas, big up flipping water, big up the elements. You have to big up all these elements all the time. They all want love. Just like your family members, just like friends, they're looking for love. So are these elements. When they're talking about certain gods being a jealous God, what are they talking about in the Bible? They're not talking about the all. The all's not a jealous God. They're talking about these microcosmic gods. What do you think Elohim means? El means electricity. Big up the electricity too. I'm bigging up the electricity. El means electricity. What's another word beginning with L? Elements. They all want love. And you know they want love because elements, elemental, mental, electrical, mental, electrical. They all want love. And they need it. And you have to big them up. You have to big up this unseen energy. That's what I'm realizing. That's what I've realized. I understand that now. They all want love because these are the certain things that may have been helping us in our lives all this time without our awareness. When we're breathing in prana, when we're breathing in air, what is in this air oxygen molecule? There's all these elements that are within them. And we have to keep on bigging them up. We have to keep on giving thanks to, just like your mother, you give thanks to your mother, you have to give thanks to the universe and give thanks to the all. Now, I know some people may not want to big up all the elements because they may see them as deities, and that's fine. So you want to big up the all because some of these elements, like if you've read the book of Enoch, you know about the four corners, you know about the archangels, you know about these stories of angels being kicked out of heaven. This is all somewhat true, but it's allegorical. It's written in a mythological way to really speak about real earthly elements, real heavenly elements. So the best thing to do is just big up the universe and big up the all. And this is how you can trust the universe. If you like, for me, when I'm eating, I'm grateful. Before I go to bed, I'm grateful. When I do a mantra, I'm grateful. I'm always staying grateful, staying in that gratitude space. Every little thing, even undesirable things, I'm grateful because it's going to allow me to grow and ascend faster. You have to keep on bigging up these elements. Even a little hack I've been finding out about is like, even when it comes to like paying bills and shit, like just giving thanks. Like if you're paying for a water bill, give thanks to water. If you're paying for an electric bill, give thanks to electric. Like, that's the kind of consciousness you have to get into. Because when you show that appreciation, the universe is saying, so you know why you must pay for me in this physical reality. How do you think they make these companies, these big-ass companies? Because they had to work with those actual elements, those actual microcosmic gods to create a business. That's why a lot of these businesses, these corporations, always have some kind of occult symbol hidden within them, because they can only make these companies with that kind of awareness. That's why they go from Silicon Valley to Mexico, shout out to Mexico, to go meet the shaman to understand the elements. That's why I live within nature to understand the elements. And when I speak and I make these videos, I just channel because I'm actually accessing information from the field that I'm in. We have T fields, which is thought fields. We have L fields. We have geo fields. And I'm going to be going into this in depth like a real lecture on it. And this is all the information that our body is taking. There's many other fields that we're also taking within our morphogenic field. But just what I'm saying, like off the dome, we are always accessing information. You see, we're going into the age of Aquarius, and it's called the water bearer. But sorry, it's an air sign. It's an air sign. And when we channel and speak, we're utilizing the element of air. But also when we get thoughts, it's coming through the element of air. So we need to really understand these elements, really understand them, because this is truly the aspects of ourselves that is going to help us trust the universe even more and more and more and more and more and more. It's not easy. It's not easy. This universe, it's called a universe for a reason. Why do we call university universe? Like university, you see the connection? Yeah, you're literally here to graduate and to get your degree. And when it's judgment time, you'll be judged by degree of consciousness. Okay, so make sure you're always learning from nature. Make sure you're always learning from nature. Make sure you're always gaining wisdom. Be wise. Instead of being polarized in every decision you make, or being polarized in every opinion you have, look at it holistically. Like me, I could say like, oh, the people that take jabs are dumb and this and that. No. The reason why people are taking jabs is because they're scared and they're fearful and they're going to lose their jobs and they have their livelihoods and people to take care of. You know, some people are doing it for that reason. Some people have done it because of other reasons. Some people do it because they love to travel and that's their passion. So have compassion for others. You see? This physical reality is not easy. Like I said, there's a lot of onion peeling you're going to do to peel back on the layers of lies we've been told. But ultimately, you need to have compassion, which is the heart chakra. So that's where I'm at now. I don't demonize anyone's decisions. This reality is hard. Like I said, the last tail end of last year was hard for me because I never got the jab. But ultimately, it's made me stronger because I know the opportunities I missed out on was to show me that I'm abundant and I'm going to manifest everything that is right for me. You see? So everyone's life path is different. And like I said, to be strong, to understand trials and tribulations is part of the process. It's not something that everybody can stomach. Some people physically cannot do that. That's why in the first year of the pandemic, a lot of people were committing suicide because for 30 years of their lives, they were going out, taking cocaine, drinking alcohol, partying every week because they didn't want to face those demons. Now they have to stay in quarantine in their house, in their room, those four walls. It felt like prison. They commit suicide. Why? Because they can't deal with that shadow. You see, some people can't even deal with that, stomach that. So even when it was time to get the jabs, they weren't even here. So that's the kind of, you have to think about it from a deep perspective that if you're here right now, it means you're strong. It means you're resilient. It means that your ancestors are keeping you grounded. And it's up to you to make the right decisions to help consciousness grow, to help your family line grow, because every decision you make it stays within your DNA code, and this will be passed down into generations, into kids, going like your kids that you may have. They will also have this awareness based upon the decisions you make, so it stays on like a DNA code, right? So me, I have to learn more. So when, obviously I got a son, but if I have more kids, it's in the consciousness, it's already in the cell that like, oh, dad was learning about this, so that's why I'm naturally intuitive about that. Everything stays within the cells. And some of the stuff I'm doing for my family, like ancestral clearing, is because of hidden traumas that have been in my cells. Just like we see with the slave thing. Why do you think when you watch slave movies, you start feeling anxious, you start feeling some type of way? Why? Because they're tapping into the slave part of your DNA where your ancestors went through it, and it still shows and emits through frequencies, through visualizing things. And that's how they activate certain dormant parts of your DNA. So with that being said, with that science that is truly understood, why don't we put stuff into our DNA consciousness that is going to help our generation and bloodline grow to be here for thousands of years? So right now I'm reading more than ever. I'm learning about financial literacy. I'm learning about how to like be better. I'm naturally entrepreneurial, but there's still aspects of me that needs to grow so that I can help this thing move on another level, you see? So this is it. You have to continually learn, gain experience, and it's not just about you. You may not even want kids, but understand that your consciousness still has a resonant frequency with others around you. So if you're learning and you're gaining consciousness on something, the people around you will also benefit from that. You see? So just look at everything holistically. By you empowering yourself, you're empowering others. And if you take that leap of faith to be better, the people around you will take the leap of faith to be better too. So take that in your mental, take that with you mentally, should I say, and digest that consciously, and understand that you're actually a powerful conduit. And the actions you take have a larger than life effect on others. Okay? So with that being said, I'm about to shut down. Peace.